Welcome to the next episode of Discipline, Desire, and Dedication. My name is Dakota Lang, along co-host Garrett Cotton. I got CEO and founder of Performance Windows with us here today, Mr. Levi Henrie. What's up, brother?
What's up? What's up? Glad to be here, guys.
Yeah, good to see you. It's been a minute, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the last time we had you on was, just over a year ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, just over a year ago.
Yeah.
Because we did it whenever 2024 conference.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah, it was you and Kyle. So a lot of growth since then.
That's right.
Well, we had 20 offices opening up with Trent just getting announced yesterday. So 20 on May 15th, completely life-changing experience for a lot of people.
Yep.
Let's just kind of talk about what you got going on in your life nowadays. You know?
I'll start with non-company.
Non-company.
Maybe we'll circle back to that.
Okay.
Yeah, man. My 4 kids, my baby's now like coming up on 1.5, which is nice. Mm-hmm. She likes me a little more than she used to now.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have this with the baby girls where no, because your daughter loves you.
Fresh. Yeah. Well, Evelyn, me and her are best friends. Like that, it's a good relationship. The second one's a little bit more fussy.
Dude, you get the one or the other, man. My girls have all been like, don't like grown men at all, girls.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's not just me. They don't like my dad.
Really?
They like mom, grandma, the girl nannies, whatever. So.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Stay away from strangers. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. So anyway, yeah, but they're all growing up, cute kids, good kids. So that's fun.
Are you doing like the gymnastics and cheerleader and all that kind of stuff with the girls?
Dude, all the things. So my oldest girl, which is my second overall, she's going to the super serious dance studio.
Yeah.
Dance is, if you're not acquainted, having your daughter in dance is kind of like having your boy in travel baseball. Like,
oh, it's a lot.
It dominates a lot of things, you know. It's kind of one of those things where if you don't start and get good when you're like 4, then you have no chance of being competitive when you're older.
You got to start young, yeah.
Yeah. So that's a big one. My boy is just kind of in all the sports, just different one every season. Basketball, soccer, and football. And then second girl, third overall, is doing soccer now. It's funny, she's a year younger than her sister, but she's bigger and meaner.
Really?
Yeah.
Soccer might be good for her then.
Yeah, no, she's a beast, man. Her first practice, she was like a head taller than all the other kids, and faster and more coordinated. So
what's kind of your involvement? Is that something you do on a routine basis, going to their games and stuff? Like
I go as much as I can. I'll be honest. I mean, I'm not the person who goes to everything. Then again, they're in so much that if I went to everything, I'm not sure I could do anything else with my life.
You can't have a job.
Yeah. I'll definitely go when I'm available. I'm probably hitting 40-50% of games.
What's it like watching a bunch of 8-year-olds run around playing basketball? I mean, is it like any organization and with it? Is it kind of like a free for all? Just whoever gets the ball, just run with it.
It's a little better. It's actually substantially better than like even last year was.
Yeah.
Last year was like, kid will pick the ball up and run all the way down the court with no dribbles.
Travel, don't care.
Yeah, like nothing. Now it's like they're honestly still kind of traveling, but there's a good attempt at dribbling. They do call fouls. Instead of the score being like 6-4, it'll be like 20-15.
Okay.
So it's a little closer to real
More
basketball. Yeah.
And did you play? Were you in sports all growing up? Basketball, football, and stuff like that. Because don't you hold like a powerlifting record or something like that in Utah?
Yeah. So I hold as an adult though. I hold powerlifting records in Utah, 2,000 pounds total.
And what does that include of?
Bench, squat, and deadlift.
Bench, squat, and deadlift. 2,000.
Yeah, but yeah, I got into weightlifting as an accessory to football. Did football from 13 on, basketball from like 9 on, a little bit of soccer and t-ball as a kid. Honestly, I was a very sporty kid, and even still, the kids these days do more sports at a younger age than we do. I feel like our generation of parents is like, no, we have to have the kids in 5 sports at the age of 5, or our kids are missing out or something.
Right.
Whereas I remember the first time my mom signed me up for soccer when I was 9.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I said, and I was a sporty kid. I wasn't missing out.
What do you think? What do you think has made that change?
Oh, man, I'm fine with it. I certainly love for my kids to be playing sports, but I do think it's a little bit of a ninny mentality, millennial thing.
I think so. It's like FOMO. You want to have your kids to be able to say they did everything.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, my mom didn't sign me up for travel baseball or football or anything like that because she didn't have time.
Yeah.
First sport I played was in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like literally, that was the first time I ever did anything.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's way different now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of it's to be honest, it's probably a little bit of a helicopter parent thing.
Do you ever feel bad? Because I mean, think about it. Like with our company, everybody that comes up with kids, it's a lot of people use the kids as an excuse.
Yeah.
Even being CEO and like founder of this company, do you ever feel bad like missing some of those things or?
So, well, like I said, like with the sports stuff, I go to what I can.
I mean, they're both your baby.
When they're in, which when they're in 4 sports, like the total amount of sporting events is still more than my parents attended going to 100% of my one thing I was in. You feel me?
The time. Yeah.
But here's kind of like a nice little hot take for the listeners. Okay. Here's my paradigm with trying to be a good husband and dad as a guy with a busy job. Okay.
Yep.
When you and your spouse are talking and whatever, you have to be very clear about which things are quality time and which things are labor. Okay? So, your wife says, hey, I need you to, I want you to come spend time with the kids. It's like, okay, yeah, great. I love spending time with my kids. Totally spend time with my kids. And then in a different moment, maybe she says, hey, I need you to watch the kids so I can get my nails done. And it's like, is this quality time or does there just need to be an adult in the house while the kids watch TV? Because if it's quality time, I'll do it.
Yeah.
If not, we can hire that one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And is that kind of how you distinguish which one,
That's the way I do it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a thing for like communication between spouses, for a lot of people to work on, because I feel like a lot of the time people don't express exactly what they mean to express. And you got to ask that question, like, is this that one or is this that one? But yeah, I mean, if you're, because y'all know the type of job we work. It's intense. It's balls to the walls all the time, 60, 70 hours a week. If you are the only person she can lean on to watch the kids while she gets her nails done, it doesn't work.
Yeah. We've been experiencing that because we've had a nanny in Denver.
Yeah.
And then here in Utah for the past month, it's been pretty hectic.
Yeah.
Running around. So.
And I want to be clear what I'm saying too. I'm not saying outsource parenting. If it's actually the quality time option, then do it. You got to do that stuff for wife and kids.
Yep.
But not so much the
having that extra
labor.
hand is super convenient. It gives you peace of mind. Because, I mean, there's stuff like Caitlin wants to go get her nails done. And right now it's like, I mean, I could watch the 2 kids, but even I need help with those 2 kids sometimes, especially being in diapers.
And as the company just keeps growing, right, more and more offices, that just demands more time from you.
Yep.
How are you able to balance that? Just like as the company grows, obviously it demands more time from you to travel to these other offices and stuff like that. What is one of the practices that you do, maybe like a routine that you do to make sure that you are, spending that valuable time with your family and friends?
Oh, couple non-negotiables, right? And it can be different for everybody, but we do church on Sunday. Like I don't travel over Sundays. My trips, I'll always be back Saturday at the latest and leaving Monday at the earliest. So certain elements of Sunday, certain elements of bedtime. That's probably like a personal choice. I don't think everybody has to treat bedtime as like a sacred one, but I try to do bedtime with my kids. I try to do date night with my wife. So, like I said, just a couple non-negotiable things that you just build in and plan around.
How often you do those date nights?
Weekly.
Once a week?
Yeah, and I'm not going to say we're perfect on that either. It's
Tries.
intended to be weekly, and we miss it here and there. But yeah.
One thing that I preach in my office routinely is like the wealthiest people in this world, they learn how to master their time,
Yeah.
and make it the most valuable as they can. And that comes from time blocking and stuff like that. What, as let's say, what, a year ago, the company was at, 12 offices? Is that somewhere about
around
right?
there,
Right, 12 offices, and as you keep growing, is time blocking something that you do every day? Like, do you have a shared calendar that you do with your spouse, or is it kind of just like you just wake up and choose what you're going to do that day?
You want to know something, man? This is this is probably going to be one of the less predictable answers I give. I'm a little more chaotic than people probably know. I first off, I don't do a Google Calendar. I have like a 4-foot by 2-foot whiteboard that I've drawn up like a calendar in my office. Yeah, Garrett's seen it. But me and Kyle in the regionals, we'll sit in there and I'm just like, let's everybody plan travel right now. I'll just start writing stuff, But no, man, I roll out of bed 30 minutes before I need to go where I'm going.
Really?
Pissed off drinking energy drinks. Just kidding. Not really, but kind of.
Yeah, banging C4s.
Yeah.
Not a breakfast guy.
Yeah, I don't do breakfast.
Yeah.
I don't do breakfast. I'm copping to a few kind of unhealthy practices here. But here's the thing. I am pro planning. I plan, but as you guys know, you plan and then you adjust. And I think there's so many adjustments for a guy like me that at the end of the day, it almost never looks like the plan anymore.
Right.
I just have, what I am pretty good at is I am pretty good at having a list of things I need to do and then knowing order of priority. So I wake up in the morning, there's 20 things on my list, but there's 3 that I got to do, 6 or 7 that maybe I don't have to do today, but they're for some time in the next week at least. And then there's another 10 that maybe I don't even have to do, but would be good to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'll think hard about my list and redo lists and all that type of stuff all the time. And it's just, as deep as I can get in this today, I'm going to do that. It's got to be at least the 3, but if I can get down to 8 or 10, wonderful. I just work like that.
Yeah, I'd say I'm pretty similar. It helps to have it written down. Like if I'm like really stressed going into a week, I'll put it to paper. Yeah. Because I gotta legitimately cross it out as I do it. But other than that, I just kind of make that list in my head and then priority write it down. That's the best way. Do you do it any different? Do you actually like pre-plan your weeks and stuff like that?
No. I would say
everything changes.
There's a couple of things. There's an app that I use. It's called Do. And it's just simply for reminders. So, like, if I have something I know I have to, I have a follow-up with this person, or I have, like, a finance meeting, I'll put it in my reminders just to remind me, like, a day or 2 before, just so I don't forget it. So I don't wake up that day and be like, shit, I had a meeting today at 11. You know what I mean? Yeah. I would say I'm slowly progressing into, like, like, me and Journey now have a shared calendar with one another because she got tired of the podcast and me being like, all right, I got podcasts this weekend, I'm gone. And she was like, what the hell, we had this. So we got a shared calendar now that we kind of work on. And that's just a slow process. It's been good because now we look at a calendar and we're kind of, we have stuff on there all the way to the end of the year. Yeah. Which, if you master, I preach it. If you master your time, and that's how you're going to make the most money because you're able to value your time, right? Yeah. What is the most valuable for this minute of your day, right? And if you do that, I preach that to my closers now, right? If you're going to be out there in Hood, why not make money? Do something productive, right? If you got to be out there regardless. If you're just going to sit in your car, well, then your time is not valuable, So time blocking is something that I'm really focusing on, is just making sure that every minute of my day I have something productive to do, you know.
Yep. Grant Cardone preaches it.
And it takes I would say it's something that takes commitment, because you might have something you're like, oh, I can push that back, or, stop what you're doing and go ahead and take care of it now. And, but in the long run, it just helps you so much more.
Is that something that you would say, like, is there any time that like personal family trumps work, or is it kind of like a 50-50 split, would you say?
So my wife and kids are great about this. Here's the thing. If if some family stuff is still happening at some point, then I think it's okay for me to do family around work, work first, and then family second. At some point, if family stuff isn't happening at all,
It's time to do some family stuff.
yeah, it's time to just put the family before work and at least do something. You know what I mean? So it depends.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kind of situational.
yeah,
It's kind of because it's hard because me and Caitlin, we try and have that communication that look, it's a sacrifice. Like we're sacrificing these young years of our life so that whenever they get to the point where we can experience life, we have the freedom to go do.
yeah,
But yeah, it's still hard though because like leaving now, it's like leaving. I want to go, like I want to leave, and she's like, I need help. I need you to be here in this, and I'm like, well, look, you can maybe come with me or something like that, and like we'll hang out at the hotel room. But I gotta go, like I gotta be in these offices, and that's something that I'm learning right now in this new role is. Again, the management from not being face to face with these people, because I can look at somebody and tell me if they're lying to me about what they're doing on the day to day. Over the phone, I'm trying to hear tonality of like, is this person screwing with me right now?
Yeah.
You know, so just blowing smoke. I feel like I'm getting a lot of smoke blown right now and not seeing production.
yeah.
So
Let's kind of jump into a little bit more performance windows.
Sure.
So we were kind of brainstorming here a little bit earlier, and it's 5 years this April, right?
Yes.
5 years this April. So 5 years ago, you were doing Uber, right?
Well, no.
Or
I was at,
didn't you Uber?
Yeah, but that was before Windows at all.
Okay.
Before
that's right.
Performance Windows, I was working as a market owner, closer, and setter at the other company.
Right.
and Ubering.
No, that was before.
That was
before
okay.
that.
Yeah, that was before. Okay, well, talk about that. So, obviously, you've done every role that the company has positions in now.
Yep.
Kind of talk about, whenever you were a market owner, being so much hands-on on a specific office, and then having to, now you got your third regional with Cotton. Kind of talk about how, maybe some challenges that you deal with as far as like taking your hands off of it, trusting your upper leadership to make sure they make the right decisions.
Yeah, man, it's a lot. It's a lot. So, like you said, I've done all the roles. I was a market owner at our previous company, and then when we opened Performance, I was functionally the market owner there.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we get to 3 or 4 offices, I'm actually just the CEO or whatever, so we didn't call it this, but when we're at first time we get to 3 or 4 offices, I'm essentially the regional, right? And now we haven't even created this position yet, but if they're, I don't know, we'll call it director of sales, VP of sales, I'm functionally that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always doing the job that at some point in a year or two, I'm going to train somebody else to do.
Yep.
Right.
You know what I mean?
We were saying that last night. You have to master knocker, then teach others to do that. And then, that's what this company is, how it's scaling so big.
Yep.
Yep.
And the saying is, if somebody else can do something 80% as you can, they should do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's enough. And I think the reason that it's phrased that way is because arrogantly, we almost never believe that somebody's going to do something 100% as good as we are.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe somebody actually does something as good as I do it.
Yeah.
But because of my own arrogance, the most I'll acknowledge is 80%.
Yeah, fair.
So yeah, man, it's about trust, but one of the things that allows you to trust is knowing that you trained them. So if I can't trust, at some point I have to own it. It's like, well, did I make him good at this?
On that though, I feel like we kind of we talk about, because I always try and train my people in my offices, taking that ownership. Because I don't know where I heard it, but I heard something one time that nobody's ever going to work as hard as the owner, right? So and me coming in, even as a knocker, closer, market owner, is I've always had the mindset of I want to own this company. Like if I ever want to have a shot at doing so, I have to treat myself in that role from day one. Because like closers, if my closers aren't closing deals, who's accountable for that? Is Levi accountable for that, for closers in my office not producing? And I see it now as for Kaleo being regional. Kaleo's not in there training of the closers. That's my job as a market owner. So it's hard to implement that. I think that we do a pretty good job of trying to tell people. I mean, we relate it to a sacrifice, right?
Yeah.
It's a short-term sacrifice, but it's that sacrifice of treating it as if this is your company.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah, there's ownership in the literal sense of like shares or whatever, but then there's taking ownership.
as if it fails, it falls on your shoulders.
Yeah.
If you feel that, you're gonna produce something. Because it's scared to fall back.
Exactly.
Is there days that that you feel overwhelmed with the company's growth?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Sometimes the days I feel overwhelmed with the company's growth are on the days where we're blowing up with sales.
Yeah.
Because I say, man, I got to figure out how we're going to get all this installed in about 2 months.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, all the time.
Good
All
problems
the
to
time.
have.
All the time. I was telling Kyle, you guys ever read that book, or I think they've made it a movie a couple times. There's this book, The Giver.
I feel like I've heard of it.
It's one of them dystopian ones. It's this weird society that they set up to be all messed up. They're like deciding whether a baby is like genetically acceptable, and then either keeping them or discarding. Like there's all these jacked up things in their society, right? But they all just like don't know anything about how it works. They're just turned off to it like robots, just living in this weird society where they're all just ignorant and whatever.
Right.
And then there's this one guy who it's his job to know everything. He's called the Giver. He's the guy who knows everything, and he's got all the knowledge. And they all look at it like it'd be cool to know everything, but he says it's a burden.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Okay, this is a very self-aggrandizing comparison, but
You feel that way.
sometimes I
that
feel that way. Sometimes I feel that way, man, because it's like, and you guys, I'm sure feel this way in your roles sometimes too. It doesn't do you any good to go out in your sales meeting and be like, hey guys, I just want you to know ops sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't say that.
Can't.
Yeah. It's just your job to know and deal with it, and then still go out there and run your sales meeting with a big smile on your face.
Yeah.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
We can't show any kind of negative emotion whatsoever.
Yeah.
Always got to be the most invested.
Right. Yeah. So it's just your job to know, and it's your job to take the licks and whatever.
So sometimes in that role, I mean, do you ever feel like throwing in the towel?
I can't.
No.
I can't. What's that even look like?
No.
Yeah.
I love that you say that because I think I might even said it to you before. Like, quit's not in my vocabulary.
Yeah.
Don't know what that word means. Like it's truly until I get to wherever I'm going, and I don't even know where I'm really going. But when I get there, then it'll be a day for it. But right now, can't entertain that at all.
I think that is one of the benefits of me and Kyle's partnership too, because I do think there are some companies run by single individuals where sometimes maybe they do to some extent. I mean, not like just like close the company or something, but momentarily throw in the towel. They're a little bit MIA, not growing, just in the soft part of their mind. But me and Kyle always have this thing happen where if one of us is being soft, the other one's like, "Don't you think you're being kind of a?" I don't want to say
That's
the
good
words,
though.
but yeah.
I mean, even because me and Dakota, I feel like we're replicating that a little bit.
Yeah.
Like the relationship y'all have. I mean, even for like podcast stuff. He texts me and I'm like, okay, we're shooting podcast.
Yeah.
Even if I'm
It's like you might have flaked, but if he's saying it, okay, we're
okay,
good.
he's doing it. I can't not do it.
Yeah.
So I gotta show up. So.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we're very rarely soft at the same time, flaking at the same time.
Yeah. Kyle gets softer than you a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, both ways. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make a clip of that one. Put Kyle in. Kyle is a pussy. No.
Heck yeah. I had a thought, but I completely forgot what I was going to say.
Yeah.
It'll come back to me, though.
One thing that I want to know, so like the company, would you say that 3 years ago, would you say that it's on pace of what you thought it would be, or is it more or less?
Yeah, more, man. Frankly, this is probably another one of those like anti what you think a CEO would say views that I'll share. But guys, honestly, my goals are usually about a year.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We can't see that far.
Yeah, I just can't see that far. I can tell you exactly what we're going to do this year. I have a big goal. And guys, I drive hard to goals. It's like really hard. Makes people uncomfortable sometimes. So it's not that I'm not goal oriented, but yeah, I just don't see much practicality in having more than 1 year planned out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're way bigger than could have imagined, doing way more than anybody could have imagined. But it's just, it's like the eating a whale metaphor. It's like, how do you eat a whale one bite at a time?
Mm-hmm.
Just keep chewing.
I can't really fathom actually eating a whale,
Yeah.
but I can fathom 1,000 bites.
Do you have an end goal?
No end goals.
No end goal?
No end goals. This is who I am. This is what I do
Right.
at an identity level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just part of just who you are.
Yep.
Would you say you really indulged in that personality early on in the company, or was there a certain point, like whenever you had 3 offices or 5 offices, like when do you think that really sunk in for you?
The identity thing that I just said?
Yeah.
Honestly, man, I've loved windows since I had been a setter for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I embraced it immediately. I was
feel
like, this is awesome.
You have to. Like, it's the burning that boats mentality.
Yeah.
Like, even when I came out here, I was like, I'm either going to figure this out or my life as out here doing something. So I was like, this looks promising.
Yeah, I'd done enough bad things that I knew when I was doing a good thing all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
So by that I mean like jobs, like
Yeah.
done enough crappy things for work. So yeah, as soon as I found a good job, I was like, no, this is good. Like I'm not gonna let anybody tell me this isn't good. So yeah, man, I've loved it since then.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that, so like, of course, the office company's growing so fast right now, the Indeed's getting dialed in, all these new people. What's some of like from your perspective, like vision building? You think everybody's still got the same opportunity at opening up markets and stuff like that?
Totally.
Even at this level?
Totally. Yeah.
Do you think that'll ever slow down as the company continues to progress? Like
opportunity to open markets and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so. I do think there comes a point where we start to be a little short on eligible metros, but I also think that when we're at that point, there'll be a fair amount of churn of people getting promoted, people honestly like retiring or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I think at that point then we'll just be able to allow those people opportunity as replacement market owners and regionals, and that's cool too.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I think too, are we in a sense like following the systems of other companies? Like I always think about it, when I tell people about performance windows, I'm like, imagine being the first 4 years of Vivint.
Yeah.
Would you say that we're basically tracking the same type of successes as a company like that?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then are we pretty much like the same model? I mean, as far as like setter closer model, and then it just continued to scale? Is that pretty much where they started?
Well, not exactly. I mean, yeah, Vivint never had closers. Same person who knocks it is trying to get in the house and close it then. Mm-hmm. So it's a one call. But in the sense of, well, and actually they were summer based too. Mm-hmm. But in the sense of, and then after you do that a while, you come back the next year with a team and you're the manager, and then maybe the next year your guys on your team want to have teams, and so you are the regional manager, whatever.
So with us doing it year round, in a sense, we should fast track that,
Yeah.
in theory.
Totally. Yeah, because you're not getting a change of title until the following summer.
Mm-hmm. Have you, I know that Vivint is Utah based. Have you ever talked to like the owners of those companies?
On my podcast, I've had tons of people. I haven't had the owner of Vivint. That's like probably the hardest guy to get in front of. I'll have to have one of his proteges who I have had get me that intro, probably. But no, I've had. I just recently had this guy Jeff Mendez, who was like, he would be like one of y'all or like Matt and Kaleo, but a Vivint. Mm-hmm. Had this guy. Kenny Cox, who has been there since 2004, and he still kind of like runs the sales org, So yeah, I've had lots of people like that on my podcast, from alarms, pest control. It was fun. Get to kind of take like a mental rep. You guys know what I mean when I say that? It's like if you're like a football player and you watch a football game, you're thinking like, here's how I would do that if it was me. Mm-hmm. Oh, the way he did that was good. I'll do that next time. Yeah. You're kind of like pretending if it was you.
Yeah.
I like to do that with other D2D stuff and kind of get mental reps out of it,
I kind of relate it to like restaurants. You know, it's like Chick-fil-A and Burger King. You know,
Yeah.
like they're both restaurants. They both have drive-throughs, same thing, just different product.
Yeah.
You know, in a sense. So that's why I was like, I mean, especially like bringing on, you know, just people talking through the Vivint, like the higher up in Vivint's.
Yeah.
I'm sure that they see things that we're currently experiencing right now.
Yeah. I love
You know?
I love the story of it too, because feels like we've been doing it a while, but man, there's so much longevity in some of those like Vivint stories. You know, like I said, Kenny Cox has been there since '05,
And he's
Yeah,
still
that's
there.
crazy.
something like that. Yeah, yeah, still there. He's like 45 years old, runs his region. It's awesome.
That's insane, though.
Yeah,
We'll get there.
yeah, let's do it.
I feel like, I mean, you got you dropped something in the chat probably about a week ago about investing,
Yeah,
right? So we got a lot of people, you know, especially, you know, we've got a bunch of people lined up with some of the people who help us with our finances, door-to-door financial with Brandon and Jake.
uh-huh.
What would be some investing advice that you would give for an upcoming closer, an upcoming market owner that is making life-changing money? You know, whenever, I mean, I'm still going through it personally.
Yeah.
You know, what would be some investment advice that you would give to somebody that is taking that next, you know, financial freedom, that generational wealth?
Totally. Well, let me give the little, so I don't get sued, disclaimers. Not an investment professional. Do go through a real CPA and a real finance guy. But here's what I have done.
Yeah.
You know, the first thing you should do when you start making money would just be some kind of like Dave Ramsey-esque type little steps. Like if you have credit card debt, any debts with a rate higher than, you know, I don't know, 10, the first thing you do is pay those off. Stack up some money in your checking, pay off some of the debts that don't even have that high of a rate. You should think about things that are just part of your job very first. Okay, so don't do anything else with your money if you're still driving an unreliable car that's going to hurt your sales flow.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you're a lumberjack, before you buy a diamond ring for your wife, you need to make sure you have a decent axe, or else you're not working tomorrow.
Right.
Same type of thing with a reliable car for us. So those things are all just elementary, right? But then after that, what would I say about investing? I would say to do it at all. I'm always bothered by how many people just aren't.
Yeah.
Haven't even thought about it. And usually what there is there's some kind of, well, yeah, after I do this, and this, then I will begin thinking about that. But the list is too long.
That's
Right.
one of my biggest regrets is like even talking to financial advisors or CPAs or anything. I'm like, I need to have this much money because what are they going to talk to me about if I have no money?
Yeah.
You know, but even I started making closer money, and then I was like, well, I guess now I could probably sit down. But if I would have planned from a knocker, you know, with those kind of guys, by the time I became a closer, I would have had a good foundation set.
Let me say this one too. A lot of the time, the best return, you guys, you know, if you're making really good money, and you're in a high enough bracket that this matters, the best return you're going to get on your money is maximizing your tax thing. Okay, preventing a 20% loss is just the same as making a 20% gain on an investments. Tax is lost to you. So preventing loss is better. And, you know, let's say you're in the, I forget what it is, but the top tax bracket is like 42% or something. If you're going to prevent a 42% loss right now, that's a way better investment than something that might make you 10%
Over time.
over time. You with me? Okay, so yeah, like I said, first thing, just all the elementary getting out of debt stuff, tools of the trade, maximizing your tax thing, and then what I would say is,
I know me and you both use Paramount. I mean, that's who we recommend. That's who you recommend
yeah,
as well.
because he's familiar with our stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like sometimes, and that's also good advice. You really need a good accountant. Like a lot of time people ask me questions. They're like, so when you're doing your taxes, do you do this, or this? And I'm like, that question presumes that you're going to become a tax expert. My advice is to find somebody who's a tax expert.
Right.
Call Jeff.
Yeah. Yeah. My advice, call Jeff. Yeah. Tell him that you work with us and you need the same thing we've got.
That's literally what I do.
Yeah.
I probably got, I would say, probably 8 people with Jeff.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, they're like, what do you do? I'm like, call Jeff.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Tell him you work at
They'll
Performance
get you
Windows.
a portal.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah, that's a great thing to say. Okay, when you actually get into investing, avoiding just big L's, and I say this because I've had some. You know, be real careful with like buddies, companies. Everybody's always got a friend who's starting a freaking lawn cutting business or a mobile detail business or I don't know. You know all the jobs that
Yeah.
25-year-olds start.
Small in Dakota.
Yeah.
Pressure washing.
Yeah. Well, and that's fine. I'm not poo-pooing it per se, but usually what's going to happen is you're going to come up with some type of arrangement where they'll be the operator and you'll be the money partner. The problem is they have 20 different reasons to just be like, oh, that didn't work, I'll go do something else.
Yep.
Right.
And you're like, bro, I was depending on you seeing that all the way through.
No
Right.
risk. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So look out for those ones. The other thing I would say is, you know, there's kind of this decision that people have to make about asset type. So like stocks, bonds, real estate, and like kind of like private equity stuff like companies, right? A lot of times somebody starts making good money. What they want to do is they want to do loads and loads of private equity investments. They want to invest in a bunch of companies. You might have a big hit on some of those, but you'll also lose the entirety of your money on a lot.
Yeah.
Logically speaking, like the way that people make money in that game is that their big hits will pay for all their losses.
Yeah.
That's great. I understand the math. But are you the person who's going to do 20 of them to actually get some W's? Or are you going to do 1 or 2 and have those 2 be the L's?
Yeah. And then say, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's next?
So I would advise, in my unofficial, not financial advice way, for people to at least have a base of good real estate stuff that just doesn't mess up.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not a whopper, but it doesn't mess up. You're going to get your 7%, 8% checks in the mail every quarter. You're going to exit it for 1.8, 2.0 in 5 or 10 years, whatever.
What is your favorite investment?
Those, yeah.
How did you get introduced to them? Is it more of like just buddies? Friends?
Buddies, yeah.
I remember that you've had some stuff that you posted in like market owner chats and closers chats for people who are eligible. Do you think is there like a better like certain time of year that those usually come through, or is it just kind of
No,
prepared?
honestly. And you know, if you're dealing with reputable groups, they won't even like pump you for like, let's do this one now, whatever. You just say, hey man, I'd like to be on the email list so that I get notified when something's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm sure you've had a lot of people reach out to you for investment opportunities, right?
Yeah.
Probably some people that were good friends of yours, and some people that probably are friends of friends that you don't even know.
Yeah.
Right. What is how do you go about declining an offer?
Okay.
If somebody calls you and, hey, Levi, I have this idea, blah blah blah. How do you go about if it's something that you're not interested, declining it?
Oh, I tell a lie. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, dude. Super broke right now. Just kidding.
Terrible time. I'm right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly.
Actually, that is what I do. Like a lot of the time.
Yeah, just tell me you don't have the capital.
Yeah. Well, you know, I said tell lies jokingly, but what I don't have is the capital for that.
Right. And what are some go-to questions that you ask when people do present you an opportunity to invest?
So I actually have like, you know, if we have 2-3 minutes here for a little side quest. So especially that scenario I brought up of guy who's going to be the operator wants you to be the money partner in his startup.
Mm-hmm.
There's 3 or 4 different things that you have to put. And honestly, like, you could, if you also took away from this to just not do those, that would be fine too. But if you really want to entertain some, here's my little 3 or 4 question list, okay? First off, is this the only thing they're doing in their life?
Mm-hmm.
And you need to put that in the operating agreement. They cannot moonlight. They cannot do anything. Moonlighting, some type of moonlighting clause in the operating agreement.
Mm-hmm.
They're not allowed to turn it into their side hustle while they go get a day job.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you're only investing your capital thinking they're going to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 1. 2, even if you're mostly the money partner, they should have some money in it, just because it should hurt them if it fails.
100%.
Right.
3, is anybody allowed to get salaries from this business? Okay. Because let's say you invest in a business, you're 50-50 partners. You guys make a 10 grand profit one month, and you say, great, I'm going to make a 5 grand distribution here. Well, profits is what's paid after salaries are paid. What if he decides that as the operator, he wants to be an owner, but he also wants to receive a salary for being the CEO, and he takes 8 of the 10 as a salary. Now your profits are 2, and you're getting 1.
Yeah.
So my little quick and dirty way to avoid those is just say no salaries. We the owners only get paid distributions. If one person gets paid, we both do.
Yeah. Not fair. I mean, I'd
I
say
like
that
that.
is fair.
But yeah, there's these 3 or 4 different things that you have to just think about in advance. And usually this person is your buddy, and you have to get in a headspace of how would he screw me. So it's a little
This is
gnarly,
good.
but
And me and Dakota, we're like thinking about getting into like a wedding venue situation with one of our buddies from home. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's good insight just
Yeah.
as far as like, because we're going into it, just put our head down and move forward.
Yeah.
So it's
also a lot of the time, what they want is they want you to be the entire money partner, and they're going to be the operator for like 20% equity or something.
good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, if I'm putting up the entirety of the money, I'm getting 50 or better.
Yeah.
You know?
That's the part that most people lack is the money.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I
Yeah,
feel like
that. I mean, so we're doing a wedding venue ordeal, and we're planning on closing on it by the end of this month. And like Cotton was saying, is we got a buddy that's going to come in and kind of be the operator of it.
Yeah.
And that's some of the questions that we were trying to figure out is, okay, obviously we want to be it to be fair for all parties. Worth his time, worth our time.
You guys are putting up the entirety of the money?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, dude. So the quote unquote operators, what they want in these deals is they want quote unquote sweat equity, some amount of equity for running it. That could be fine, but maybe what you do is you set it up so that he vests into it
That's what we talked about.
by hitting benchmarks.
Yeah.
Starts with 0.
Yeah.
Show us.
Starts with 0, and maybe a little salary in the beginning if he's got to live, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then after a while, the salary goes away, and he gets his 10%, and then after some other benchmarks, 20, and then after some other benchmarks, his third, and you guys are done at thirds.
Yeah.
Right.
Just spitballing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would do.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Tried to make that move with my mom.
Yeah.
And family, my saying is, you can't do business with family. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bought my brother a tractor, and he used the tractor. Then my mom with the wedding venue. She went and it needs air conditioning units.
Yeah.
Like the property that we're doing.
Yeah.
She's redoing the posts, like cosmetic stuff, but it looks so good. But I'm like, well,
Ain't
you're
got no
sweating
AC.
inside,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's going to be a learning process, but I know that we'll kind of touch base because Matt Munson, he's kind of in that stuff
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Do you have any kind of ties to anything, event space or anything like that?
No, he's got a ton.
Matt's
yeah.
the go-to.
Yeah, go with him on that one.
We'll give him some insight. We'll get some insight from him.
Yeah.
Are you big in the stock market or anything like that? I know they got a bunch of chatter about the stock market right now. Is that something like
Yeah.
you're invested in?
Dude, I haven't been. If it dips a little more, I'll be buying some.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to get a good entry point. I haven't felt great about the entry point for a long time.
And is that something that you've learned on your own, or do you have like a professional that you lean on to like get some tips like, hey, let's invest into this?
I'm pretty nerdy about it, man. I've studied a lot over the years. I studied economics in school, so I've got some decent instincts for all that.
Mm-hmm.
Even still, I'm almost still on the border of shouldn't do any of this myself and should get an investment professional. So if you know less than me, then definitely
Right.
Talk to somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, I've tried all kinds of stuff, bro. I mean, before I went into real estate, I took out like a quick cash advance loan, because I thought figured out a way to get rich by doing Forex trading.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, dude, it was incredible. So after I, failed at that a couple times, I'm like, man, maybe the stock market, this kind of stuff just
Only
ain't for
person
me.
getting rich in that game is the one selling you the course.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
I paid $2,000 for this course and then lost, I think it was like $6,000 in a matter of a week. And at the time, I ain't had it. You know what I mean? And then whenever I went to Denver, I tell the story all the time because you got these, especially like knockers and stuff like that. They're like, my car note. I'm like, dude. Your car note. I was late on my rent in Denver, late on my mortgage in Louisiana, credit card maxed out, and I done got sent to collections.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Didn't have nothing. But it's just you just got to go out there and just grind, control what you can control.
Hey, let me say something else about investing too, because this is a great point. Another thing you don't want to do is you don't want to make one or two, let's even say good investments, one or two good little investments, and then think that you're about ready to retire.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot. I always do this little exercise with people. It's basically, you ask them, how much would you like to have coming in passively on a recurring basis? They say some number, 200K. Okay. I'm like, all right, put 200K into your phone, divide by 0.07. Okay, divide 0.07. The number that it spits out is how much you will have to have invested in things that make 7% for you to get paid that 200K. And
Where'd you get that number from?
7%? It's
like an average gain.
Yeah, conservative average gain. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that number is like, what's that? That's going to be like 2.8, almost 3 million.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, all right, you need to have $3 million invested in stuff that makes 7% to have 200K a year passive.
Right.
And I mean, shoot, that's for our people, that's going to take them 10, 12 years. I don't even care if they retire at that point.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Move on. You did your work. Thanks for the good times.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I like talking kind of long term like that with them, But you start to realize that 3 million's a chunk. Sometimes you have these 22-year-old kids, they'll buy, a duplex and live in one side. Like my renters pay and the this, and I'm almost living for free here, and I'm gonna buy another one, and I'm just gonna be a real estate guy now. I'm like, bro, you still got to work.
Yeah, still got a long ways to go.
You have no idea how much you still got to work.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if I could put a bow on the whole thing. First step, get a freaking good job that makes a lot of money, and then do some of those other things I said. Get out of your bad debts. Make sure you got reliable transportation to keep doing your job, because you ain't getting out for a while, and then start doing some of these other things we talked about that won't mess up.
Is that something, because you said it a while back, it probably been months, but I think it might have been a market owner meeting or something like that. You were talking about, like, at the point that you are in your life right now, that you don't even look at what, your checks that are coming in for performance windows. All you look is at your passive income. Like, if it's increasing.
Yeah, it's a little more fun goal for me.
Mm-hmm.
A little more fun goal. It's yeah, I don't know. It's just more fun. It's more fun. Take all my performance money, dump it into, a couple other little things I have to, like finishing my house build, but then just investing a crap ton.
Do you do you just, look on your own, because you said real estate, right? You like real estate?
Yeah.
Do you just do that on your own time, just scroll and see if you can find deals, or is that something that you like have a, preferred real estate partner that you work with routinely?
Partners, and that kind of going back to the like family discussion from beforehand. That's part of my own little philosophy of like, maybe you have the opportunity to make 18% on your own, or maybe you work with a group, they take a little baby cut and you make 16%, so it's less. For me, that's worth it.
Right.
For me, that's worth it. I'm not trying to do anything except just run performance windows the best I can.
Right.
So
Well, so my house in Louisiana is finally done, dude.
yeah.
Had 2 years, right? Since I came to Denver, I ripped up the floors, and then we had a gas leak, so we finally got that fixed. And initially, I was like, I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna get Journey to property manage this thing, and she's gonna deal with the renters, collect the money, and all that. And then I start looking around, and they're like, they'll charge you first month's rent, so on that house like $1,500, and then like 10%, so $150 a month, and they take care of everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, $150 a month for me to not even have to communicate with these renters, like that's
Done.
totally worth it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's one thing that, because initially, where we grew up from, it was always you had your hands on it. You know what I mean? And as we grow into this life-changing opportunity, life-changing money, really just leaning on your partners, as you can say, the people that deal with it on a daily basis, and just let them handle it.
I think what you said about as we grow into this opportunity with the life-changing money, that's the key. If you work some job, where you make like 40 G's a year, and you got into an investment property, manage it yourself.
Yeah.
That $150 matters.
Yeah.
But you are going to make more money paying the $150 and running the Austin office better.
Yeah.
100%.
You know?
Absolutely. Well, cool. You got anything you want to touch on?
No, I think that's got some good insight of like stuff that's gonna help us for sure.
Yeah.
And then like we said, we want to bring it
You
back.
have you ever sat down and like looked at like a USA map and just like see if you could like count how many offices that we could actually have?
Not too specifically, but I think the number's somewhere, it's north of 50, but it's probably not 100.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
North of 50, probably not 100.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then as we keep mastering the Windows market, obviously you're going to look into bringing in other products and stuff like that. Is that good? Are you looking at possibly just making that a whole different division, or are you thinking about like integrating it with the Windows? Or you could honestly, tell me if I'm wrong, potentially do like a sister company of Performance Windows.
Yeah, I'm still working that out.
Yeah.
I'm still working that out. It's kind of on this sliding scale of like, I think more integrated is better if it works, but I don't want to do anything that risks breaking the window thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we're actually kind of beginning with siding right now here, like, but initially it's retail only, Utah only, and only to people who aren't getting like we're going to try to do some deals with already happy existing window customers.
Right.
Say, hey, how'd you guys like to get siding to? And then it's the standalone thing that if we mess it up, it didn't ruin something else too.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And as we get more comfortable, we'll try to integrate it more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually, this is super exciting. I know. That's the main thing that I preach to my guys is vision. You know, I always tell them, because it's easy whenever and this is for the Performance Windows listeners that are listening to the pod, but it's easy to get into the thought process of like, man, I'm late to the party, or like I got to hurry up and get there, which that's good because you're competitive, right?
Yeah.
But like I preach to my closers, like, look, we're all going to the same table. We're all going to the same table. We just got to get there.
Yeah, we were discussing a little bit that Vivint story and some of those guys that I've been able to have on my podcast earlier. I mentioned this Kenny Cox dude who's been there, I'll just colloquially kind of off the cuff say forever, quote unquote, right? But whenever he started, Vivint was like 7-8 years old.
Yeah. So they had probably 500 people maybe.
Yeah, we say, oh yeah, that dude's been there forever. He's been there he's been there since it was new. And it's like, for a 25-year company, like that's not too inaccurate. But if we go for 25 years, then there's people starting tomorrow who, some future date, somebody can say, that dude's been there since the beginning.
Yep.
It's like, not exactly, but kind of though.
That is true. Because, well, I always refer to back to, like, I tell them, I'm like, yeah, y'all look at me like I've been here forever, when in reality, after I've been here 10 years, y'all going to be here 8 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there ain't no difference,
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just right now it feels like such a long gap, and that's just because our tenure hasn't surpassed that.
Right.
You know.
Agreed.
So, well, cool deal, bro. Well, I'm glad to have you on again. I know a lot of the listeners are going to be super excited for this as well. Kind of get some insight for investing opportunities. You know, that's something that we keep preaching, because there's no point in making all this money if you're not going to use it, right?
Yeah.
So don't just let it sit in your bank account and, you know, just dwindle away. You know, actually get it to work and work for you so that you can eventually, you know, create that generational wealth.
Take advantage of this opportunity. I mean, that's what we're here for, is to make that high income, put it to work.
Yep. Cool deal. Well, hey, thank you all for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment below, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.